Hello and welcome to Basketball Predictions here at Southeastern 16. I'm your host, Chris Lee, joined by Max Barr and Blake Lovell. We're talking about Arkansas, the 10 seed, and Texas Tech, the 3 seed in the East region of the Sweet 16 round. You can catch that on TBS or True TV. 9:09 Central is the scheduled start time for that one. It's in San Francisco. Texas Tech about a 5.5-point favorite in this one. Two teams with very interesting paths. Arkansas, goodness gracious, that season was all over the map. But boy, did the Razorbacks ever get it together in the final 4 to 6 weeks of the season and play their best ball. There were some pieces to that we're going to discuss because a lot of it had to do with lineup combinations and health. Meanwhile, Texas Tech, just kind of a model of consistency. Started the season at 12 in KenPom, heads into this game at 8 in KenPom, never got lower than 25. That was all the way back in mid-December. Never lost consecutive games. Max Barr, we got a very interesting matchup between two teams that stylistically are going to be very different.
Yeah, very different. And Texas Tech here, I believe, is going to get Chance McMillan back. The last update was he's getting there, was the quote. He's getting there. So I believe we're going to have Chance McMillan, if you're not familiar, one of the best three-point shooters in the nation there for Texas Tech. And then, guys, any news on Adu Thero? I have looked. I can't find any sort of confirmation whether he's been given the green light or if it's a game time decision. Do we know anything yet as we record this on Tuesday, March 25th? It's still a few days before game.
It's a mystery.
It's a mystery.
Which is exactly what Arkansas wants, because the possibility of Arkansas finally having a full assortment of players at their disposal in the biggest game of the season would be quite fascinating, wouldn't it? Because we've said that's kind of been the story all year long. But, man, you look at the way this Arkansas team has played down the stretch. They have been just really good. I mean, they have kind of – we talked about it. It's not just been one guy. It's just been like everybody is sort of clicking right now and finding their groove, and that's exactly what you have to do to keep advancing in this tournament. But you know what? I mean, Texas Tech is one of those teams too. I feel like we came into this, Lipscomb was like a somewhat, UNC Wilmington. We talked about like, hey, is that going to be one of those 3-14 games where it's like, one nobody's talking about, maybe Wilmington comes out, make it interesting. They made it interesting for a little bit, but we talked about the 3-point output from Texas Tech. Then they come out, and beat a Drake team that, as we said, it's kind of hard to play that style. You have to sort of impose your will there. And Texas Tech, as one of the best offensive teams in the country, they just keep finding ways in a lot of these games. And like you said, if you're getting a key player back now, it's a tough matchup, I think, for Arkansas, just because you are talking about a high-powered offensive team. They're not going to do it the way that Alabama does or anything like that, but they're so good at getting what they want offensively. And that's where the really good really good defense for Arkansas is going to get put to the test, because the Razorbacks, as we said, have been really good on that end of the floor and probably haven't got enough credit for what they've done there.
All right, there's several variables in this game, but let's start here. I think the biggest one is maybe Texas Tech's three-point shooting, and not just the percentage, but the numbers. Guys, they were 13 of 42 in the opening round against Wilmington. Then they were 2 of 14 against Drake, which is just a weird team to play and very well coached and really can mess you up. I mean, that's an enormous range of outcomes there.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's a high variance team. Anytime you get any of these high volume 3-point shooting teams in March, that's how the upsets happen, when you get these high variance outcomes. And Texas Tech doesn't get to the free throw line a ton. So threes aren't falling. They normally do. They're one of the best shooting teams in the country. But, hey, the threes aren't falling. They're not a team that has a tendency to draw a ton of contact. Things can get messy. Things can get sticky. But one thing that you can rely on with Texas Tech is JT Toppin to do his thing. Imagine how good New Mexico would be this year if they still had JT Toppin, second-team All-American. Incredible. He's averaging over 21 points a game in March right now through 7 games. He's the difference for this team. He is the engine behind all the flashy 3-point shots and Elijah Hawkins step backs or Darian Williams being a matchup nightmare. At the heart of it all, it's 6'9" JT Toppin, who is just quite literally one of the best players in the nation, guys. He's phenomenal.
Yeah, no, he's tremendous, and I think that's clearly where Arkansas is going to turn a lot of their defensive focus here.
Yep.
When it comes to game planning around that, because like we said, I think that's what really stands out. And we mentioned the front court emergence for Arkansas, the way Jonas Adu's been playing, Trevin Brazil. We mentioned if you get Thero back, that obviously changes some things you can do defensively, because he was kind of just he was kind of the guy for most of the season. And I think that's where, again, like if we knew his status, we'd have a lot better feel maybe of defensively the matchups you're going to see here in this game, but we just don't know yet. And so it makes it a little bit harder to feel 100% confident in what Arkansas is going to do specifically to defend this Texas Tech team. But as you guys mentioned, I mean, it's just, the three-point shooting, understanding how they get their points, but also, like, Arkansas has gotten after it on the perimeter specifically. I can just watch the games where Wagner's out there, where Davis is out there, like the active hands, what we always talk about, right? I mean, the freshmen, like the wingspan of, kind of the length that Carter Knox and Billy Richmond and those guys bring to the table. So I think the defensive element here for Arkansas is everything, because when you really look at it, again, I think just this is the kind of game where we've said this before with Arkansas. Let's say Texas Tech comes out and does get up early. Come out, go, 4 of 6 to start from 3 or something. And all of a sudden you're Arkansas and you're chasing. This isn't the kind of team still statistically that's built to chase from double-digit deficits, because what does that mean? You have to take probably more shots from outside, or at least you're going to think you have to take more shots from outside to catch up quicker and those kind of things. And, Arkansas, 32% from 3 this year. They're not the greatest shooting team. So I think that is such a crucial part, Max. I feel like we said this maybe in the St. John's game. We've said it in some others where it's like, man, that first 8 minutes or so,
yep.
If Arkansas comes out, they're guarding the 3, you don't want to put yourself in that early hole, because I think that's where this is not the kind of team that's going to shoot their way out of it. And that's why they need this game to go a specific way in terms of the matchup, because otherwise, I mean, again, we talk about how many threes that Texas Tech puts up. Arkansas has had one double-digit three-point shooting game since, my goodness, December the 30th. And so it's like Texas Tech, I mean, they may hit double digits in the first half just by nature of shooting 30 of them. So it's just, that's one of those elements where such a crucial start for Arkansas here.
This is a matchup with so much variability on both sides. Let's talk about Arkansas's for a minute, because I don't even know what stock to put in the Ken Palm numbers for Arkansas, because they're a compilation of the season, right? Well, their season has looked like night and day, not just in terms of results, but in terms of who's available, and even within that, who's available and healthy. Because you had John L. Davis with that wrist, just wasn't John L. Davis for the first 2 months minimum. Jonas Adu was an afterthought until the last few weeks. I mean, Trevon Brazil has played his best ball late February, early March. Boogie Flynn back out of the blue after being out from Game 6 of the SEC season on. We're sitting there, we don't know what Thero is. He's their best player. Is he playing? Is he not playing? Is he well? Is he not well? Like, how do you even start to make sense? What do we think we can bank on with Arkansas offensively heading into this one?
Offensively, I don't have an answer for you. There's not much I'm going to bank on. But I'm going to bank on their defense and their physicality and their hustle. And I think it starts with the 2 freshmen on the wing. Billy the Kid Richmond and Carter Knox have been incredible. And I really think that they pose similar to how they did against St. John's with Lewis and Richmond and these different kind of mid-range type of oversized guards that St. John's had. Carter Knox and Billy Richmond were huge defensively, being able to switch on to different guys, cover basically 1 through 5, 1 through 4, shouldn't say 5. But just their versatility against a team like Texas Tech, who uses Darian Williams in so many different ways, who's so crafty, can kind of back you down in the mid-range. I think the defense of Carter Knox and Billy Richmond, not only am I relying on it, I think it's going to be a huge piece in this game that's not really going to be talked about.
I agree. Picks.
This one, I had competent picks in the other Sweet 16 ones. I think this one is really going to be a good game just because you have the high volume 3-pointers from Texas Tech. Are they going to fall? Are they not going to fall? Who knows? You know they're going to get them up, though. And then you have Arkansas, who right now is this year's Cinderella. They're the lowest seed left, their lowest team ranked on KenPom left. They've got that March magic underneath them right now, and you kind of feel like, geez, I don't want to pick against Arkansas because they're kind of the Cinderella this year. But I'm going to take Texas Tech in a tight nail biter. I think they just got a little bit more offensive firepower.
We did our ratings of Sweet 16 games in terms of what were you most looking forward to watching to least. I rated this one my number one game I wanted to watch because God knows what's going to happen. The range of possibilities for all the reasons we just outlined is almost endless. When in doubt, give me the favorite. Texas Tech was so consistent. It didn't lose 2 games in a row. Grant McCasland gets as much out of his guys as much as anybody in the country. By the way, it's not a shot at John Calipari. It just is. When in doubt, I'll take the favorite, but give me a confidence level on the scale of 1 to 10 of about a 1.5 for that pick.
Yeah.
Well, I think a significant part of this is something we talked about. Like, is Thero going to play? Is McMillan going to play? Like, if, what happens if both play? What happens if only one of them plays? What happens if neither play? Like, there's so many ways this could go based on perhaps even those 2 players, their availability, and again, how many minutes do they play, all this kind of stuff. Like, that's why, yes, I'm with you. I think this may actually, in terms of the Sweet 16 games, this may be the hardest one to pick because of all the unknowns with player availability. We mentioned like game flow, that kind of stuff. I just think that's why it makes it so difficult. The thing about the first 2 matchups for Arkansas was that you played 2 teams that we said felt like decent enough matchups because they were very sporadic at times offensively. Kansas had been that way. St. John's, that was the knock on St. John's. How can they not make the Final Four? Well, they're a great defensive team, but man, look at those offensive numbers. They're not the best. And so you kind of got the matchups you want. I think this is a really tough matchup for Arkansas because we are talking about a top 5 offensive team here in the country. And we mentioned if they come out, Texas Tech, and they're just knocking down threes early on, man, I think that's trouble for Arkansas. But you've gone hog wild if you think I'm picking against the Hogs again in March. It's just, I'm not doing it. Like, I've been here before. I've seen how this goes. Give me the Hogs here with not as much confidence as maybe I had in the first 2 games. This one, much less lower on calling the Hogs for this pick. But, hey, when in doubt, Chris said when in doubt, pick the better team. For me, when in doubt, pick the Hogs in March. So there you go.
I'm completely confused. We had that on the tee for you to do what you do, and you just refused to take a swing.
You know what? There is one team that has done pretty well in these scenarios, no matter what we do, and just so happens it's the Arkansas Razorbacks. So we'll see. Not that our picks mean anything, but come on.
Are you kiss of death proof?
Oh, you just said it, Chris. We had gone this entire tournament without saying those 3 words. Man. And the fact that you just did that, Arkansas fans, the guy in the middle of the screen, there you go. Max and I went this entire tournament without saying it. He just brought it up. There you have it. Doesn't matter who I pick now. So,
well, either we have given you insight or we have confused you more than ever. I'm not entirely sure which. But what I am sure is if you want some more entertainment as you follow along with college basketball, you need to go to BRACKETBIDS.
BRACKETBIDS, the free pick'em contest, the auction draft league. You guys are enjoying it. Seeing your names pop up over there in the pick'em contest and all that. So yeah, have some fun over at Bracket Bids. Again, their support has been tremendous for us over the past couple months, and we appreciate everything that they've done to help out the channel. So download the Bracket Bids app to help them out, and visit them at bracketbids.com.
All right. For Max Barr, Blake Lovell, I'm Chris Lee. God bless you. Thanks for watching. Continue to follow along with our coverage of March Madness by subscribing to the channel and enabling notifications so you know when we come live with videos. By the way, we got baseball coming up too. I hear Arkansas fans are interested in that. We got baseball content coming this week later. Already had some out. Thanks for watching. We'll see you again soon at Southeastern 16.